down. I'm here with you. Hold on a second. All right. First one is, what was your reaction when you heard Bristol was going to have a cup race on dirt?
A little bit mixed for me. Bristol is taking me a long time, but the last couple of years has been a strong racetrack for us. So, I hate to lose one of those races that we know that could be a strong race for us. But I'm also very excited. I mean, I think the Bristol dirt race is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really neat for the fans. I know the fans have been asking for a dirt race for the cup cars, and selfishly, I'm not really a dirt racer, right? So it's not on the top of my list as far as, oh man, this is going to be the amazing opportunity for me to go get a win. Like, I know Larson and Ricky Stenhouse, and there's a bunch of those guys that are really, chomping at the bit. I'm excited. I am excited. I'm definitely thankful that I'm already in the playoffs and I can go enjoy the Bristol dirt race with, not little pressure, but a little less pressure. And so, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We'll see how it goes.
Do you have any kind of dirt racing experience in your background?
I don't have much. The dirt racing that I've done, the first dirt race that I did was when I ran the ARCA series full time, and we ran at Springfield and DuQuoin. So I did 2 dirt races in our cars that are somewhat similar. Obviously, things have changed over the last, 15 years, but the car in general is stayed pretty similar. And then the rest of my dirt racing has been jumping in for charity events, just fundraisers, or, Kenny Schrader might have a charity event, or Kenny Walsh would have a charity event, and they would ask, cup drivers to come over and run a Friday night or a Saturday night. So it's always been like that, just jumping in somebody else's car and cutting some laps. But so not a lot of dirt racing, but who knows? We'll see what happens.
Based on your experience in ARCA, what do you see as like the difference between some of the other stuff that you've done on dirt? What do you see putting a stock car on a dirt track? How is that different from like cars that are built for the dirt tracks?
Yeah, it's very different. And that's a little bit why I'm optimistic. I mentioned the dirt guys' names, but I have a feeling that they aren't going to be the guys. And I don't want to put that out there too much, but I think that the guys that are really good on dirt, that are really good, Christopher Bell and Reddick and Larson, they can hang it out and be right up against the cushion. You're not going to be driving our cars sideways into the corner and through the corner. It's just not going to happen. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty confident that I'm not, based on, the few dirt races I've done in a big heavy stock car. Just, they don't work like that. And so I think it's going to take a lot more precision than that. I think you're going to be driving the cars pretty straight. There'll be times when the car, the track's slick and it'll be sideways, but I don't think it will be most of the night. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys do. And obviously their approach is going to be different than my approach, and we'll see how it goes.
What is going to be your approach? What's your strategy? What are you thinking, going into that race?
Yeah, not knock the fence down for 249 laps and figure it out. I think that's the approach for me. Is I know that, I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm going to use the race to gain that experience and try to keep myself out of trouble early on, and see how many people are left at the end, and try to make a run for it.
How important do you think the practice sessions that are added to Friday and then the heat races on Saturday, just to give you guys more track time?
Yeah, the practice sessions are going to be huge. Because our cars are so different, and even though there's races leading up to our race that we'll watch and everybody will pay attention, still not the same as our cup cars. So the practice is going to be important. The heat races will be fun, because there'll be a little bit of a practice session with some value, right? You got to figure, you got to start well. You want to be up front. You want to be near the front. You definitely don't want to be, wedged in the back. It's going to be hard to move. So you definitely want to be scoring some points in those heat races to get a better starting position.
Given Bristol is a home track for your team owner, does that make racing there any more special for your team?
Yeah, it makes it more pressure. He's got all of his friends and family there in the suite, right? And so the boss man's watching, and so yeah, it's an important race, and it always is, not just because of the dirt, but Bristol's always important because of that. And like I said, the last couple of years has been pretty strong for us, so hopefully we can keep that going.
How has your last month or so been since winning the Daytona 500? Do you still feel like it's been a dream?
Yeah, it still is. It's been a dream. I mean, it's a mix of still living in the moment and enjoying the win, but also preparing for each week. I haven't stopped preparing for each of these races and studying video and looking through data and looking through notes, because you can't just sit back and enjoy the ride and let a few weeks go by. So I think that I like the schedule of every week because it keeps me in the routine, it keeps me in the rhythm. But it also would have been fun to have a few weeks off just to enjoy it and to see friends and family and take it all in.
One of the questions here is what are you guys doing to be able to build on your momentum, because you've had some good finishes here the first four races of the season and keeping that top 10 position.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think that it's been a lot of hard work at the shop and over the years too. I think that last year we made a big gain, from racing in the low 20s to racing in the teens last year. And that gave us the confidence that we can make another step and potentially race in the low teens and maybe in the top 10, right? And so it's not completely shocking to us where we're at. I think that we are overachieving on what our expectations were. But we did feel like we could be competitive in these first, 5 races and come out of the gate strong. And we've definitely come out of the gate strong, and we want to keep that momentum going. But I mean, we all know it's racing, right? And so there's good weeks ahead and there's bad weeks ahead. You got to be ready for both of them. You got to manage the highs, you got to manage the lows. And the biggest thing that I've learned over the years and not having a lot of success is your intensity and your attitude still has to stay good, right? You have to have a high intensity. You got to always be pushing hard, but you got to have a good attitude, because once you start getting down and you get negative, you bring your whole team down. And so that momentum, I think, comes a lot from just everybody's excitement and energy, and results produce results.
Starting with you this season, there's been a few different winners, some parity. Why do you think that there is parity? And do you think there could be as many as 16 or more winners this season?
Yeah, I hope not. I don't know what
Yeah.
it looks like on the playoff. How does that work? I don't think we've ever had to deal with that, right? Since
Yeah.
we've gone to this format.
Yeah.
I should probably study up and figure out what it takes. But the parity, I think, is coming from two things, and the two main things that I think that it's coming from is, one is when the next gen car was starting to be developed and they started talking about rolling that out. They did a freeze on a lot of the development of parts and pieces. NASCAR did, and so a lot of the R&D slowed down in those critical areas that cost a lot of money. That big teams advance that because they have 10, 20, 30, 40 engineers, design team, manufacturing team, all those people that can make that possible. And then the second part of it, I think, is that NASCAR's, just enforced and found ways to enforce the rules a little bit tighter this year. I think that, race teams are really good. And I mean, all race teams, I'm not calling anybody out. Racers are all the same of pushing as hard as you can in the gray areas. And I think NASCAR has identified some of those gray areas and has, closed the gap for us by, bringing some of the faster cars back our way.
Gotcha. And the last question here, has there been any like chatter? I know the fans you mentioned earlier, but the fans are excited about the dirt race. What's been the chatter with some of the cup drivers behind the scenes, maybe in the locker room? Has there
Yeah.
been any talk about the race? Is there excitement? Is there just, you know, fear? Like, what has been the biggest thing from that, from what you've heard, maybe on pit
Yeah.
road?
Yeah. It's been fun. I think, the chat really comes from the group chat that we have, that we all are on,
Hmm.
because we're not really allowed to interact with each other,
Right.
right? But
Yeah.
the
Group
dirt
text.
guys are excited, and they're like making sure NASCAR has all these little tidbits that they know from dirt racing. And the veteran guys that don't have a lot of dirt experience are like, all right, it's 250 laps and it's going to be about 5 hours long. We'll be able to figure it out. So it's been fun to just kind of hear them go back and forth a little bit. But I think the industry as a whole is excited about it. I mean, we all know that it's going to be a great race and it's going to be a show. And but we also know that it's a little bit out of our element, and it could be a little messy. And so I think it'll be an entertaining event for sure.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and good luck in Phoenix, and we'll look forward to seeing you here at Bristol in a few weeks.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.